The Google Pixel 7 Pro, after 2 weeks of use now, just kind of my follow-up impressions and review of this device, and I'm nonplussed by it. I like it. I don't love it. I'm not going to go crazy over it, but at the same time, my blood pressure is normal right now, which is not usually the case when I'm talking about a new Google Pixel device. And I don't say that as an insult. That's exactly what they needed to do. That's exactly what Google had to put out in the marketplace this year, given what happened with the Pixel 6 last year. It's like if you're having a bad day at golf, if you go out there, you're hacking the ball all over the place. What do? Sometimes on that next hole, you take out a nice safe iron and you just get one in the middle of the fairway just to get you going a little bit. If you're in a big slump in baseball, you're striking out all over the place, choke up on the bat, just make contact. Get yourself rolling, and then you can kind of get yourself going that way. And I think Google has absolutely done that with the Pixel 7 Pro, and they absolutely have a platform now going forward with their phones that they could build off of. They have an architecture that works with Tensor. They have a Pixel experience that people love and that now works, and they have a good release of it with Android 13. So they didn't have to take any big swings. They didn't have to go way outside the box to try to get people to absolutely love their device. But they did enough to service the fans, give new people something safe to try, and put out a solid device that is absolutely worth the $899 that they're charging, especially when you're talking about that flagship category that is so desperate for competition, especially here in the United States. I love the S22 Ultra. At $1,200, it's vulnerable. There are absolutely things that they need to improve there on that side. So for $899, this becomes a very attractive package with the extra Pixel experience stuff that they add, and Google has honed in on that this year with the refinements made to this device. I'm going to talk about a few of the things. One of the things is the display that jumps out at me right away that I absolutely love the changes on. I love the fact that they've made it brighter. That was absolutely something they needed to do. When I went back and did the review of the Pixel 6a, because now it's $299, so I went back to look at that device, I noticed it right away. I had that device at 100% brightness, and it was still coming in a little dull, a little dim for me. This one, I could keep it 80%. I was outside all day yesterday in the sun, had zero problems with readability with this display, which in previous years, I could not have said that about Pixel devices. I'd have to run it at 100% and hope it was bright enough. Not the case here. 80%, and I'm fine. A lot of people talking about the overheating. I'm going to say this. I would chalk it up to the way they designed the phone and the way the Tensor dissipates heat. This metal band here that you have on the side, the left side of the device, that's where I feel it get the warmest. If you have a case on it, you're never going to notice it. If you don't do a lot of intensive stuff, you're never going to notice it. If you have one of the units that people are talking about and say, well, I do anything and it burns my hand, I think you got a bad one at that point. I don't think it's systematic. I don't think it's something that's a bug in the software. There might be some bad units that don't dissipate heat correctly, or there's some sort of process that gets locked in the background that keeps running the processor at 100% and generating that heat. I've noticed it get warm. I have not noticed it get any warmer than other devices that I've had previously. My S21 Ultra we talked about, my OnePlus 9. I had even iPhones that would get warm. If you want to know warm, a BlackBerry Priv back in the day would get warm. That was warm. That was hot to the touch. This would get warm. You get borderline hot with that when you're downloading stuff. I noticed was using a lot of network stuff. It'll do that, but I think that's because it dissipates heat along the frame of the device, so you're going to feel it a little bit more than you would on other devices that get hot back here where the chipset is. So I think that's what that. Now, if you're getting one that's just constantly hot, doing anything and hot where it's actually hurting your hand, bring it back. Bring it back. And there are enough a percentage of people. So if you want to blame Google quality control, I don't blame you. Last year we had issues with that with the Pixel 6, where some units were fine, some units were goofy. Could absolutely be the case here again with the Pixel 7 Pro. I wouldn't doubt it. But I think enough people are having a good experience with it that it's not an issue that I would really, really, really go nuts about. Battery life, wish I got better. About 6 hours of screen on time. To be honest, with the battery size and the efficiencies that you think you'd be getting with the Tensor 2, I was hoping for a little bit more, but that's really what it's going to be so far with this device. But I don't get good battery life, and I really do pin that on 5G. I think 5G is horrible. I think it, depending on the area you're in, whether it's switching back and forth between LTE and 5G, it affects battery life, but I don't get the battery life that others get. Camera, let's talk about it, because that would be the main differentiating factor to me between the regular Pixel 7, which I still think is a phenomenal deal, at $599. If you're not big on, which is weird, if you get in a Pixel, you're not big on camera stuff. If you're not all in on camera stuff, or you don't really need that much zoom on your Starbucks or whatever you're putting on Instagram, then get yourself the $599 Pixel 7. Because that, again, is a deal champion. You're going to get that near flagship level experience. You're getting a phenomenal build quality again this year, and performance that rivals the S21 Ultra. It doesn't match it. It doesn't come in above it, but it gets close enough for half the price. That's really good. But I'll tell you, I'll show this picture here I took yesterday. You can see this apple. This is the 5x zoom. I was far away. I wish I had taken the regular 1x shot to show you how far away I was, but that's 5x. That is a beautiful image. That, with the telephoto lens, it did everything it needed to do there. It didn't blow anything out. It was bright sun right on it. The colors are good right down the middle. The processing, the shadows, everything was excellent. So, and it's easy to do. I didn't have to do anything with any of the sort of white balance or any of the stuff in the Pro Mode stuff with the Pixel camera, or kind of tweak any of the lighting. That is the point and shoot at 5x. That's good. And it's natural. And I like punchier images, but then I see something like that, and I respect what they did, keeping the colors natural. I get that. So if you're somebody who's big in your photography, you're big into keeping the colors natural, and you know what your wildlife, whatever happens to be, trees, fish, I don't know, you're out on a boat, you got an ocean, whatever, the 5x periscope might actually make a difference for you and might be worth it, because it is easy to use. It does an excellent job, as you can see there, and there's some chickens thrown in with it, dealing with shadows. Dealing with shadows on that image. It was kind of dark, it was light, but it was dark coming through, and it does a really good job at making sure that it keeps things clean and keeps the image looking nice. Modem issues, I have noticed it gets slow in some places. A lot of people complained about that, but otherwise, I wouldn't really, nothing that would jump out at me over other devices. Face unlock and fingerprint have been absolutely spot on. The only thing that I've noticed, there was a hiccup. And what I like is, I'll tell you what. So it's a hiccup where if I lock the phone and I go to face unlock, it'll get locked. I'll put a picture up. I think I took a picture up. But it gets locked. And see that animation? That kind of wave animation going over the screen, kind of up from the bottom. It'll get locked at about there. Rest of the top of the screen will be blacked out. The bottom screen will be illuminated. And it'll just freeze there for a moment. I only had it happen 2 or 3 times. It was all in a row. And I haven't had it happen since. That was about a week ago. But it did that. But what I like is, in previous years with other versions of Android, that would have been a complete meltdown. It would have been a system UI crash. I would have had to do a hard restart, all kinds of things to get my phone back to where it was usable. Not the case. Locked it, gave it a second, unlocked it, went back to using my device. I like that. That's what happens when I get glitches on iOS. That's what happens when I get glitches on my Samsung. Lock it, unlock it, things go back to usable. Pixel, in the past, it would have been a meltdown. You would have had to restart the phone. It would have been a disaster. This one, you just kind of lock it and keep going. That's really what I like. Design, this kind of goes back to them not taking a huge swing. I'm going to come out and say I like the Pixel 6 design better. I like the two-tone stuff. I like the non-metallic, kind of the non-aluminum or whatever, stainless backing on the camera. I like them having the different colors there. I like the blacked out camera array, and I like the two-tone of the colors, whether it was the peach that I had or the coral, the darker orange on top and the lighter one. And then if you had the seafoam, you had the darker green and the lighter green. I think that was more Google. This is more sanitary. And I get it. They're trying to appeal to more people. This is an expensive device. They kind of give you the lemongrass goofy color on the Pixel 7. They kept these relatively clean on the Pro. It just lacks a little of the character that the Pixel 6 once had. But that's not a negative either. They wanted this device to be as safe as humanly possible. I get it. I respect it. I agree with it. They did it. Let me know what you think below. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.